Welcome to my channel. My name is Nick, and whatever you're watching, I'm making videos about. If you're new here, every month I make lists of recommendations for all of our favorite streaming services, even Amazon Prime, the streamer known for its 2-day shipping of household items, or in my case, overpriced Blu-rays. And if you're watching this at the time that it's posted, well then good for you. You get some bonus recommendations because I want to throw out some movies that are leaving at the end of the month, which is in like a week. That's just how the cookie crumbles. Sometimes I show up like Jigsaw, like, I want to play a game. Can you watch these movies in time? Probably not, but if you see them show up on other streaming services, I would recommend you give them a watch. Starting with True Crime, a 90s thriller starring Alicia Silverstone as a teen girl who is obsessed with true crime and looking to solve a string of local murders. It's basically the original Murderino movie before it was even a thing. It does have some problematic 90s material, like teenage Alicia Silverstone does not need to have a love life. I'm not going to get into it, but I would still recommend watching it if you can get to it before it's gone. Excision is a dark comedy horror film about a disturbed teen girl who wants to be a surgeon, but she has a difficult mom and a hard time fitting in, so she goes on a bloody mission to fulfill her medical dreams. This movie is twisted, like capital T twisted. And it's not perfect, but if you're looking for a fresh horror film that goes all the way, it's a wild ride. Beast is a romantic drama about a young woman from a tight-knit family who begins a relationship with a mysterious stranger believed to be behind a series of local murders. Clearly, I love my local murders, and this is one that I wanted to include in my list of best romantic horror movies, but it's really not a horror movie. It's barely a dramatic thriller, and that's stretching. But for anyone out there who is discovering Jessie Buckley in one thing or another and wondering where on earth did she come from? Well, watch Beast. She came from Beast. Underworld is a romantic action horror film starring Kate Beckinsale in her iconic 2000s role as not a dominatrix. She's totally just a normal vampire who is in love with a werewolf. And in this universe, werewolves and vampires have been fighting since the beginning of time. So it's basically horror Romeo and Juliet. And this is another one that I did want to include in that list of best romantic horror films because this is actually a horror film in a sense, but I just don't really care for it that much. Sorry 90s goth babies, I know this was a big deal. But for anyone who does want to watch Underworld, they also have the unrated version on the service, as well as a few of the sequels. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do. That way you stay up to date with what to watch and where to watch it. And with all that out of the way, let's get into the top 10.
He calls me every 5 minutes. Don't pick it up. I won't.
Number 10 is Gloria Bell, a romantic dramedy starring Julianne Moore as a middle-aged woman looking for love, which she finds in the form of John Turturro's character. Going from desperate nights out at the disco to settling down, Gloria decides exactly how she wants to live the rest of her life. Gloria Bell was directed by Sebastian Lelio, who remade his original Spanish-language film Gloria, and I have to say, if you can find Gloria anywhere, definitely watch it. I do agree with some other reviewers that Gloria Bell loses a lot of the life that the original has, but Julianne Moore's honest performance makes this a worthy watch, especially if you're in the mood for a feel-good pick-me-up with an incredible soundtrack.
Well, when the world blows up, I hope I go down dancing.
Number 9 is Bombshell. This Oscar bait drama stars Charlize Theron, Margot Robbie, and Nicole Kidman as Fox News hosts who come together to break their silence and expose the real-life sexual harassment that took place at the network. While the film is more concerned with its quirky style than the important subject matter, this is an energetic and entertaining film that explores a very important series of events. It features multiple great performances, and even if this felt a little too award-centric for you, I hear you, but don't be fooled. Bombshell is a gem.
Wait, am I gonna be the story? No.
No.
I'm gonna be the story.
No.
Nobody stops watching because of a conflict. They stop watching when there isn't one.
Number 8 is Femme Fatale, Brian De Palma's erotic thriller starring Rebecca Romaine as a jewelry thief. Antonio Banderas plays a photographer who becomes obsessed with her, and it's really slow but has quite the ending. This could easily be my bad movie recommendation of the month for some, and I understand, but De Palma just does it for me most of the time. His films are so rich and satisfying, even this one, which is ridiculous and honestly quite stupid. But if you like sleazy erotic thrillers with high aesthetic value, Femme Fatale should do the trick.
This top supermodel's wearing more than you'd think. 10 million in diamonds.
This isn't a game tonight. People can die.
Number 7 is What Men Want, a romantic comedy starring Taraji P. Henson as an executive woman who gains the ability to read men's thoughts through movie magic. She uses her new flow of knowledge to advance her professional career until Aldous Hodge comes into play as a hot single dad and it's time to fall in love. This is a spin on What Women Want that has some genuine laughs. It's a lot longer than it needs to be, it's pretty overstuffed, I will admit, but it's an entertaining and hilarious modern rom-com that deserves more attention.
Why don't we have some tea?
This smells like dirt.
Oh, that's just jasmine tea, if you don't count the weed and the peyote and the crack.
Number 6 is Rift, an Icelandic gay psychological thriller about a man named Gunnar who receives a strange phone call from his ex-boyfriend Einar, believing he may hurt himself. Traveling to a remote family cabin, Gunnar and Einar reconnect as tensions around them rise to a breaking point. This was another one that I wanted to include in my best romantic horror films list, but I do think it gets a little too confusing for its own good towards the end. Most of the movie plays out pretty obviously, and then it throws this curveball at you, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but if that sounds like something you can get into, I can't recommend Rift enough. Number 5 is Sonic the Hedgehog. This family adventure comedy is the live-action version of the Sonic the Hedgehog video game we all grew up with. Sonic is a cartoon speedster who finds himself living in our reality and making friends with a local police officer played by James Marsden. Sonic heads out on a road trip to escape the evil Dr. Robotnik played by Jim Carrey. I did a review for this movie last year and I wasn't too impressed because I found it to be lacking in action and a little too aimed towards the kids for a movie based on a video game that came out 30 years ago, but I understand, and I rewatched it recently and found it to be an enjoyable film that's fun for the whole family. I don't know about you, but I am totally ready for that sequel. Bring on Tails, I'm here for it.
I just thought you might like a latte with steamed Austrian goat milk.
Of course I want a latte. I love the way you make them!
Number 4 is The Ruins. This horror film is based on a book by Scott Smith. In it, a group of vacationing 20-somethings decide to spend a day hiking to an ancient ruin in Mexico. Once there, they find themselves trapped as an evil force tears through them one by one. This is a disturbing vacation horror film for anyone who needs a little bit of sun to power through the rest of the winter season. And I know this movie doesn't work for everyone, but I don't want to spoil what makes this movie so divisive. If you're interested, I would recommend going in as blind as possible and just let the movie cast its spell on you.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
Did you see that? Something's on me.
Number 3 is My Bloody Valentine from 1981, and this is how you know I'm way behind schedule. This 80s slasher takes place in the fictional town of Canada's Valentine's Bluffs, where a crazed miner committed horrific crimes decades earlier. While the young townsfolk prepare for the first Valentine's Day dance since the tragic events, a new string of murders warns us a miner is out for blood and severed hearts on Valentine's Day. I know slashers aren't for everyone, but this is top-tier 80s slasher greatness, and this is the theatrical version that they have on Amazon Prime, so I would recommend finding the uncut version if you can because it really makes the movie. But still, if you're looking for a place to stream the best Valentine's Day horror film, it's Amazon Prime.
In this town on Valentine's Day, everybody loses their heart.
Roses are red, violets are blue. One is dead, and so are you.
Number 2 is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the original adaptation of the Swedish bestseller. This thriller follows a disgraced journalist who was hired to solve a mystery from several years prior. He teams up with a hacker who helps him dig up information that may help solve the case. I did just recommend the English language remake over on my most recent What to Watch video for Netflix, and I will admit I do prefer that version because of the high production value and David Fincher's immaculate direction, but this is the more faithful adaptation, and Noomi Rapace simply is the girl with the dragon tattoo, and you can see her in the sequels, which are also streaming on Amazon Prime. Number 1 is Midsummer, or Midsommar if you're a pretentious twat. This horror film from Ari Aster stars Florence Pugh as a young woman who has recently gone through a traumatic event when she decides to go on vacation with her distant boyfriend. Traveling to Sweden for a midsummer festival, they find themselves trapped in a sunlit nightmare that will seemingly never end. While this movie is 2.5 hours long, I don't want to say anything that may spoil the journey for anyone who hasn't given it a shot already. I know it's very divisive, even within the horror community, but this was very close to making it onto my list of best romantic horror films, and I'm just gonna keep plugging that because it's coming soon. This is a breakup movie, but I would argue the real romance is between Danny and Pele, and I could just go on forever about this movie. I love Midsummer, so if you're watching it for the first time or you're watching it for the 100th time, let me know what you think of it.
Christian says you've got this special week planned.
It's sort of a crazy festival. Special ceremonies and dressing up.
That sounds fun.
Time for a bonus TV recommendation. I watched the Amazon Prime original series Modern Love for Valentine's Day, and I have to say, it wasn't bad. It's based on a New York Times column that follows different relationships taking place within modern New York City, and while I find myself consistently detesting stories of rich people living their privileged lives in the metropolitan Mecca, this show was different from what I expected. Overall, the individual stories are quite quirky, which make it a standout show, so if you're looking for something simple, sweet, and funny, Modern Love is a very easy watch. Double bonus recommendation, because I also started watching that show Tell Me Your Secrets, because it was advertised all over the streaming service, and I felt like drinking the other night, and it seemed like an appropriately trashy show to watch. And I was right. I don't even know how to describe the plot of this one. It is so many things. It's in the vein of like Gone Girl or The Girl on the Train, an unreliable narrator crime mystery show. It's all over the place. It's ridiculous. But I'd be interested to hear what other people think of it. And now it's time for my bad movie recommendation of the month. And because it's February, to me that is the month of love and horror, so I can't help but think of all of my favorite stalker thrillers, and there is one erotic thriller on Amazon Prime that is so bad, it's bad, it's just bad. It's bad, bad, bad.
I wanna be bad.
Impulse stars Willa Ford as a bored woman who begins a dangerous affair with a man who was totally not even in her league. That's how you know the Chardonnay isn't working. What starts as a harmless fling turns into a fight for survival as the man turns out to be a deranged and violent individual. I think you guys know when I throw out a bad movie recommendation, you know I don't strongly suggest actually watching it. I just want to talk and laugh about it. But you should know I love my erotic thrillers, my stalker thrillers. Anytime you got a crazy person obsessed with a thing or another person. Plus I have plenty of leftover love from the early 2000s for Willa Ford, so I can't help but get into it.
I wanna be bad.
That is my list of the best movies to watch on Amazon Prime in the month of February. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it as always. Don't forget to let me know what your favorites are in the comments, or if there's anything you want to see here on the channel. Feel free to follow me on Instagram where you can send me all of your requests, and if you're interested, you know, in subscribing to my channel or anything like that, you might want to hit the bell and turn on your notifications. That way I actually end up in your feed. Otherwise it's going to be like a year from now, you'll be clearing out your subscriptions. You'll be like, who's this Watch This Now guy? We can't have that. We cannot have that. You're going to want to watch these videos as soon as they're posted. Again, that way you stay up to date with what to watch. It's what I'm here for. Thank you guys again. I appreciate your support so much, especially over this last month. You guys have been great. Really appreciate it. That's it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another.